The question the mainstream media keep asking is, where's the proof that Joe Biden got a dime?
Yeah, and that's going to be the difficult part for Republicans. I think that this has failed optically for Republicans. This impeachment inquiry, unfortunately, is falling flat with a lot of viewers and voters.
Over the past few days, an increasing number of high-profile right-wingers, including MAGA cultist Tomi Lahren, as well as commentators from Newsmax and Fox News, have publicly expressed disapproval with the failed Biden impeachment inquiry and have even publicly urged Republicans to just go ahead and kill it. And it seems like the Grand Inquisitor himself, James Comer, is finally bowing to pressure. But before we unpack all that, if you end up liking this video and you want to support the channel, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and alert bells before you go. I'd greatly appreciate it. All right, friends, we have several clips to play in this video, but for context, as you know, recently, the MAGA Republicans in the House of Representatives finally got their wish, and they were able to depose Hunter Biden, the president's son, in a closed-door deposition. And then they released the transcript. But based on all accounts, and we even covered it in a video here on this channel, the deposition did not go well for Republicans. They got no usable evidence. Hunter Biden soundly and resoundingly debunked all of their claims and conspiracy theories and issued, under the pains and penalties of perjury, frequent assurances that he never involved his father with his business dealings, and his father was never involved or benefited from his business dealings. And so with all that in mind, it seems like the already crumbling Biden impeachment inquiry crumbled yet again, such that, again, even high-profile Republicans and MAGA cultists are like, okay, folks, it's time to call it a day. So I want to start with the first clip here, which is Tomi Lahren, again, a prominent right-wing cultist, a MAGA cultist. I think she works for Glenn Beck's program, The Blaze, or she was affiliated with them at one point. She recently had a debate with Destiny on Piers Morgan's show. I was kind of shocked when I saw this clip, but let's hear it and we'll unpack it together.
Both sides have been spinning this, obviously, and if this other televised hearing comes about, I can just imagine the ratings. But Jim Comer says the deposition was successful. They were able to prove several bits of our evidence. That's a quote from the congressman. The question the mainstream media keep asking is, where's the proof that Joe Biden got a dime?
Yeah, and that's going to be the difficult part for Republicans. And I got to say, as somebody who does believe there's plenty of evidence here, I think that this has failed optically for Republicans, and they've done good work. Obviously, Jim Jordan, Comer have done great work on this, but optically, it does make it seem as though they're beating up on someone with addiction issues. That's exactly what the media wanted it to look like. That's how they framed it, and unfortunately, that's what's coming to fruition. So I would encourage Republicans, I know you want to get to the bottom of this, but let's focus on the election. Let's focus on the failed policies of Joe Biden. This impeachment inquiry, unfortunately, is falling flat with a lot of viewers and voters.
That's absolutely reflected in the polls that, again, optically, it's just not there. And we'll get to some of the polls, which have been really refreshing, as a matter of fact. But yeah, Tomi Lahren is like, and she's trying to be as sympathetic as possible to James Comer and Jim Jordan, praising them for doing good work when obviously they have not. But even couched in that is just like, please, for the love of God, give it up. Because it could be used, and hopefully will be used, by Democrats as a cudgel against Republicans as we head into an election year. This idea that they've had the majority for more than a year now in the House of Representatives, and it's the least productive iteration of Congress because of that, because they will not work with not only Democrats in both chambers and the Democratic president, but also their own Republican colleagues in the Senate. They're just laser focused on, as Tomi Lahren says, beating up somebody with addiction issues to hurt his father. That's not just Tomi Lahren. It's also, again, other Fox News personalities as well, where it's just, you know, they're in this particular case, Steve Doocy is pointing out that it says something that James Comer, the Grand Inquisitor in this witch hunt, is so not confident in the Hunter Biden deposition that he actually never asked a question of Hunter Biden himself.
Yeah. You know, the odd thing, speaking of Republicans, you know, James Comer, who ran that committee, he apparently left the hearing early and did not ask a single question.
Huh.
How weird is that?
It's very strange.
He's been calling for him to come in. Hey, we want Hunter Biden. He didn't ask him a single question.
Well, Brian's going to ask questions to Mark Levin, and he will answer them. That's coming up on the show.
Nice pivot there. But you can even see on Brian Kilmeade's face, you know, the guy there sitting on the opposite side of Ainsley Earhart. She's like, yeah, that is kind of weird. But of course, it's not unexpected, right? Comer is, number one, an idiot. Number two, has overshot, right? He has gotten ahead of his skis. And this was all a stunt to begin with. He knew that there was going to be no substance there, which is why he never asked a question, which is why he left early, because this was just about, you know, posturing and preening before the media, never actually delivering on the merits of his claims. But it's not just Fox News. Even the more far-right Newsmax is like, guys, this is just You guys have failed publicly. And this is actually a Newsmax host complaining to a sitting Republican congressman about the state of the impeachment inquiry.
I just don't know how much longer this investigation can go on without bearing some fruit. Now, I think that there are Republicans in the House that would like to see, hey, Hunter might be in the courtroom at the same time that Donald Trump is in the courtroom if that happens over the summer. And that would be hugely embarrassing for the White House. Have you had any conversations with our new House Speaker, Mike Johnson, or James Comer, or Jim Jordan about moving the ball down the field here? Because every time I have a member of Congress on, I understand, I hear you, but they say the exact same thing you just said.
My conversations with Comer is he wants to move this forward. I have not had direct conversations with Speaker Johnson on this. I think the leadership's challenge is if we bring this to the floor, let's say we bring the impeachment of Joe Biden to the floor tomorrow, do we have the Republican votes to get it across the finish line? We couldn't even get Mayorkas impeached the first time we tried, and then we had to wait for Scalise to be able to come up from cancer treatments to be able to give us that one vote because we had 3 Republicans who voted against impeaching Mayorkas. I don't understand that, so I think the leadership's concern and challenge is if we bring it to the floor, are there going to be enough votes to move it forward?
You should have that concern because there are 18 Republicans in vulnerable districts that President Biden won. And again, the polling, we'll get to it, is not on their side. But I also, again, I want to be clear here. It's not like these Newsmax or Fox News hosts are in the pocket for Biden, right? They even said, listen, I understand why you guys want this because it can be politically embarrassing for the president, right? They're even sympathetic to the political aspirations there. But again, even Newsmax is like, this needs to bear fruit. And these trees are dead, no fruit whatsoever, which is such a startling, it's a breathtaking admission from the right wing in this country that they've just failed to deliver on the substance. But it's not just Congressman Stube there, complaining about the lack of votes. Matt Gaetz, who actually did participate in the Hunter Biden deposition. There are some iconic exchanges between Biden and Gaetz that you should definitely read. I read a couple of them in my exchanges, or in my video, but you should definitely read them in its entirety. Even Matt Gaetz says this isn't going anywhere.
But I'm glad you played that clip for your audience because they should know that Nobles is right. There are dozens of Republicans who will not vote to impeach based on the evidence we currently have. I would because I still think it's a bribe. But if you believe that some successful impeachment is emerging out of the House and then resulting in a trial in the Senate, then maybe you and Hunter Biden were in the same peyote den.
There you go. So again, Gaetz obviously wants the impeachment. It's not like he's a Joe Biden fan, but he's just very real about it, which is that the impeachment's not coming and a conviction stands even less of a chance. So then the question is, okay, well, what is James Comer, again, the Grand Inquisitor, going to do about it? Well, he's flip-flopped, right? So he's indicated very recently in the past, we've done videos about this, where he seems to be hanging his head in shame and throwing in the towel. And then other times he tries to get hyped up and excited and breathe life back into this failed effort. But we actually have a new clip from him in which he's indicated that he's ready one way or another to wrap this up.
From day one. So we've proven that the family was influence peddling. We've proven that Joe Biden was lying to the American people from day one when he said he wasn't involved and his family didn't get any money from China. Now what we're trying to do is go to the next phase, have the public hearing, bring all the associates in, and let everyone see everyone's side of the story and make a determination. But at the end of the day, we're going to try to hold this family accountable. We're going to try to have referrals. We're going to try to identify the people in the deep state that were part of the cover-up. Because remember, in addition to the Biden financial crimes, we also have the cover-up by the deep state actors. So we're trying to hold everyone accountable. We're trying to wrap this up. And I think that the deposition with Hunter Biden and the transcribed interview with Jim Biden were huge successes.
Really? Again, he stands alone on an island there, this idea that they were huge successes. We've discussed the transcript, reporting, again, even from right-wing sources. They say the same thing. If those were huge successes, then your allies on Fox News and at Fox News and Newsmax and other places would not be so defeatist, would not be encouraging you to just kill this thing and slink into the shadows in shame. They are for a reason, which is this has been a failure from day one. And again, hopefully, Democrats are able to weaponize this against Republicans in an election year. Hopefully they can say, listen, they found no evidence against Joe Biden despite looking for more than a year, despite this being the only thing that they've ever worked on since they've had the majority. And again, the polling is just brutal for them. So it's from NBC. A January YouGov UMass Amherst poll found that 59% of respondents said that the House definitely or probably should not impeach the president, and support for it was considerably less. The article notes that even Republicans supportive of impeachment like Nels remain, Troy Nels, a prominent Trump supporter who just gives the game away time and time again on just about everything. He's like, yeah, I'm not going to help Joe Biden. Yeah, I want to hurt Joe Biden politically. Yeah, we should do whatever Donald Trump says. Remain unconvinced a vote of articles of impeachment would ever pass the full House. Where there's smoke, there's fire, but I think the American people are more concerned right now about the border and the economy and endless wars we have under this administration. I'm not sure what he's talking about. The administration, the American people are not at war with anybody. The economy is doing exceptionally well. The border, there are issues at the border, but Troy Nels actually celebrated a cynical political maneuver by Donald Trump to kill the border in order to use it as a wedge issue. And Nels publicly said himself that he's not going to do anything which would help Joe Biden in an election year. So the border is squarely the fault of the Republican Party. Another poll found that about 28% of American voters questioned in a new poll, saying the incoming Republican majority in the House should investigate the potential impeachment of President Biden. Just 6% of Democrats said focusing on the impeachment was a top priority compared to 55% of Republicans, and 28% as a whole supported it. These are brutal numbers for the Republican Party, no matter how you square it. The question is, will James Comer just concede defeat, end the impeachment inquiry, and try to focus on something more productive? Or will they try to drag this thing out in the hopes that perhaps in a month or two, they can use it somehow at critical times to hurt the president politically? Then, of course, Democrats have to ask themselves the question, can we milk this and use this against Republicans? Because impeachments have been weaponized by the impeached party. It happened under President Clinton, who benefited electorally after Republicans tried to impeach him. Donald Trump, whose impeachments were widely supported, actually benefited electorally from it, or at least they were more supported than this impeachment was by far, as we discussed in a previous video. He also benefited electorally in the next election cycle. So Democrats should also consider that as well, how they can milk this and use it as a political cudgel against Republicans. But let me know what you think in the comments.